on Asia First, Monday mornings on CNA.
This Saturday, could rising inflation derail the post-pandemic economic recovery?
Those parts of the market that are more overvalued could easily get hit.
Relooking China's growth model as its population ages.
Chinese babies are not growing into industrial workers in the future.
Plus, how to be a part of the blockchain boom. Saturday on CNA.
This is Game Oji-san. I make YouTube videos. While he does bespoke carpentry, I get up close with a new generation of local craft people.
Whatever it took to become a woodworker, I think I did it.
Starting with a furniture artisan.
If you're a CEO, the desk represents you.
Will I keep all my fingers? Handmade Tales, a brand new series, Sunday on CNA.
Updating tonight's top stories, Singapore to spend $800 million to support companies and workers hit by the latest tightening of COVID restrictions. A state of emergency across parts of Japan extended as authorities scramble to control the coronavirus ahead of the Olympics. Fears of worsening violence between Myanmar's military and armed civilians. Ousted lawmakers are urging people to be on alert and to stock up on essentials. This just in, the Malaysian Prime Minister has announced that the country will go into a full lockdown from the 1st of June for 2 weeks. It'll apply to all social and economic sectors. The announcement comes as the country reports an all-time high of 8,290 new COVID-19 cases. It's the fourth straight day that that record has been broken. It's the first time the country has registered more than that 8,000 number, taking the country's total now to nearly 550,000. Malaysia's third movement control order is scheduled to end on June the 7th, the King's birthday. But the palace says that celebrations will be postponed for a second year in a row. The royal household says that the day will remain a public holiday. Malaysia has also set a new record for vaccinations. More than 100,000 shots were administered on Wednesday. Total inoculations now stand at more than 2.7 million doses.
More now on Singapore's $800 million package to support companies and workers hit by the latest tightening of COVID-19 restrictions. F&B outlets are welcoming the extra help, and they say it's a relief the tougher measures are working with no further tightening expected for now. Tan Se-Hui has more.
Shutters down, chairs stacked, and tables set aside. This restaurant that offers Taiwanese food and bubble tea at McCallum Street will be shut until dine-in is allowed to resume.
So this is actually our kitchen area. You can see it's quite empty now because we have shifted most of our equipment over to the new temporary kitchen.
A stark contrast compared to December 2019, when the restaurant opened with much fanfare. The latest restrictions are a further setback after last year's circuit breaker, and having to pay a 5-digit rental fee, it's a struggle.
The business actually slipped more than 50%. This is largely because of the decrease in the footfall in the CBD area, and then with a lot of people working from home, purely by delivery and takeaway, it's very hard to sustain the business.
But there's hope. With the recent announcements, there will be a half-month rental relief cash payout for privately owned commercial properties. It will be disbursed from mid-August directly to qualifying tenants as part of a new rental support scheme. Mr. Chang says it's a good move as tenants like himself won't have to wait for landlords to make a decision.
we are definitely very grateful and encouraged by this package to help us to tie off this period. But what we really hope for is that the community cases could ease down by 13th of June, and then we could resume dine-in as soon as possible after that.
The new measures are set to benefit not only the Taiwan food eatery, but also many food outlets that are struggling. If you take a short walk in the surrounding area, you can see that many shops have their shutters pulled down, and it's unusually quiet on a Friday evening. According to a poll by Singapore Tenants United for Fairness, more than 80% of businesses across retail and F&B services are experiencing a sales drop of more than half with the latest set of restrictions. About 40% are planning to shut most of their shops and lay off staff.
Rebates for the rental, once again, small, but better than nothing. I think that's a good sign. But I guess the largest walk away from all the reports is that Minister Lawrence Wong actually mentioned that there's no need to tighten and the measures are working. I think that would really boost our confidence quite a bit.
While the incentives are helpful, Mr. Ng adds it's more sustainable for businesses to adapt and adjust in a volatile environment. Meantime, hawkers are getting a leg up. They will pay 50% stall rental in May and June. 71-year-old Sim Mong Soon and his wife are owners of this drink stall at Whampoa Hawker Centre. They've been here since the 70s and say it's the worst crisis they've experienced.
Normally we will order every week maybe 4 or 5 crates, but now no. Now maybe I think less than a crate or maybe worse or sometimes.
Facebook groups like Hawkers United have provided a platform to advertise their food and allow customers to do group orders. But elderly hawkers like Mr. Sim aren't turning to these platforms, so they rely heavily on loyal customers, since drinks may not always be on the menu compared to cooked food. Even so, he sees his glass half full.
Just continue lah. After our age is catching up, we are no more young. Stay here until the day we are caught up.
Streets across the Australian state of Victoria are empty again, with nearly 7 million people now in a fourth COVID-19 lockdown. Authorities hope the week-long curbs will contain a growing cluster in Melbourne. 4 new cases have been reported today. 30 infections have now been linked to the cluster in 5 days. The military has been asked to help find out how the virus leaked into the community.
The next 7 days in Victoria will be very challenging. And of course, we are very mindful of the distress and the difficulty that this will impose upon people right across Victoria as a result of what is being described, rightly I think, by the acting Premier as a circuit-breaking lockdown, and a lockdown for 7 days that hopefully won't go as long as that.
Sexism in Japan is in the spotlight again, this time in education. A new study by a local newspaper has found that girls still need higher scores to get into 80% of Tokyo's public high schools. And that's despite attempts to fix the discrepancies. Tokyo's Education Board has been applying corrective measures to nearly 40 schools every year since 1998. Before that, about 90% of high schools had different entrance scores for boys and girls. Tokyo's public high schools also have separate enrollment caps. The Education Ministry has admitted this system isn't ideal, but maintains that it is logical. Now, this isn't the first time Japan has come under fire for gender inequality. In 2018, at least 9 medical schools were found to have manipulated admissions to exclude female students. They all denied any wrongdoing.
Singapore has told social media platform MeWe to remove an offending poll that ranks female asatizas or religious teachers based on their sexual attractiveness. The Infocom Media Development Authority says the content breaches the Internet Code of Practice as it constitutes prohibited material. It has also contacted other major social media players to ensure the poll does not circulate. Minister of Communications and Information Josephine Teo, who is also chairman of the People's Action Party Women's Wing, has strongly condemned the poll. She says she is appalled, calling it a deliberate exercise to demean women, especially those